Erica here with Prep Scholar GMAT. Back today with 7 more tips for a 700 plus GMAT score. As always, if you like this video, please hit the button to subscribe and feel free to check out our online program and tutoring options on the Prep Scholar website or head over to our blog for even more great GMAT content. Links are in the description. Tip number 1, be confident on all content areas. The GMAT is looking for consistent performance. Someone with half really strong skills and half really weak skills will score worse than someone who is average across the board. This means that if you want a 90th percentile score, you need to be performing at the 90th percentile on everything that could be tested on the GMAT. Having content confidence also means that you won't waste time trying to remember a grammar rule or slogging through calculations you should be comfortable doing with quick mental math. This leaves you more time for the more complex stuff the question is testing. Tip number 2, spend enough time reading the question. Now this seems obvious, but one of the most common reasons test takers miss questions is that they just didn't read them well enough. They solve for the wrong thing, miss key information, misinterpret the scenario, etc. For each problem, your first priority should be to 1, figure out what the question's asking for, and 2, figure out what the question is telling you. Tip number 3, know what each question is really testing. Now, we obviously want to identify what content is being tested, so inequalities, modifiers, finding the author's purpose, etc. But we also want to go beyond content to figure out why the question is on the test. The point of the GMAT isn't to figure out whether you're good at math or grammar. That's just what's being used to test more important skills that you'll use in business school. So determining which information is important and which information isn't, finding edge cases and assumptions, and so on. One great question to try to ask yourself is, what is the trap? Try to get inside the head of the weirdos like me who write these questions. Tip number 4, have backup strategies. Even if you know all of the content, know the traps, read the question carefully, etc., you're going to run into a question on test day where the right way to solve isn't clear, or where the method you tried wasn't very effective. It's a hard test. In that situation, you should always have a plan B. For instance, if you can't solve a math problem with an equation, try plugging in numbers. If you can't identify a sentence correction error immediately, try looking for differences between answer choices. If you're stuck between 2 reading comprehension answer choices, rule out answer choices that are too extreme or specific. Tip number 5, write things down. There'll be so much stuff in your brain on test day that you're going to forget things seconds after you think them. This is true across all of the sections, but it's especially important on math. Often, answers are contingent on remembering small things, like whether or not x can be negative, or whether we're solving for the original cost or the sales price. Test makers know these are things you'll forget and build traps around them. Similarly, small computational errors can destroy your chances of getting the problem right, and forgetting what you've already done has a huge time cost. Make your own life easier and write things down. It really doesn't take much more time to scribble a note to yourself, and it's worth your while to prevent needing to reread a question, ruling out an answer choice twice, or even getting the question wrong. Tip number 6, schedule the test when you're at your best. While there are a lot of steps you can take in the 24 hours before your test to make sure you're mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared for your big day, do yourself a favor and plan to take your test at a time when you're most likely to be successful. So, for instance, don't schedule your test when you're in the middle of a huge project at work, or just before or after a vacation. Similarly, schedule your test early in the week after you've had a relaxing weekend, not after a long week of work. Ideally, take half a vacation day on Monday to take your exam. Schedule your test in the morning when you'll be alert, not in the afternoon when you've already drained your energy on the first half of the day. Tip number 7, get the help you need. You can often make good progress working through a book on your own when you're working to build your content confidence or getting comfortable with different question formats. But those last 50 to 100 points don't come easy. Good, customized prep with an expert is the most effective way to get those hard-to-earn points. It definitely costs more than self-study, but compared to the cost of losing that elite MBA or scholarship, it's a drop in the bucket. You're about to invest a huge sum in your future. It's worthwhile to start investing early to ensure you get where you want to go. If you have any questions on what we talked about today or suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment below. Thanks for watching and happy GMAT studies.